What's up, everyone? We are back, and it is showdown breakdown time. Bears at the Commanders. We got Bobbywow here, number one
Big
Bears
fan.
specialist, DFSupNORTH, and myself. Let's break it down. All right, so Bears are on the road, 6-point road underdogs here. I think one of the interesting storylines for me is, you know, did Fields turn it around last week? Is it a repeat of 2022 where he had the breakout in week 4 and then just went on a roll? Or is it a repeat of 2023 when Daniel Jones broke out in week 3 and then shit himself in primetime in week 4?
Let me just say off the rip, it's very disrespectful to include Justin Fields in the same conversation as Danny Dimes.
To which one? Which one is it disrespectful to?
Yeah, who are we?
Just clarified for me, because listen, I'm fine with either side of it.
Bobby, Danny Dimes won you $1 million, and you're going to be saying stuff like that?
I love Danny Dimes, but Justin Fields the dude has the it factor, okay? And I'm a Bears fan. I get it. He has what it takes to take a slate like this and turn it over. I mean, the dude is a beast. We saw it last season. Josh and I and Geek, we've all been talking about it. His breakout game has been right around the corner, and we saw it last week. Hopefully you hopped on the bandwagon in time. But yeah, I Fields, he's back.
Jay Fiddles.
Yeah,
I hope so for my dynasty shares, for my season-long teams, for my boy Bobbywow. For many reasons, I do hope Fields is back. But again, we did see last week. We just saw like 2 days ago a bit of a reversion in a similar situation. So you know, I'm a little jaded from that.
Fair.
But I'm getting a lot of fantasy football questions like, should I start Justin Fields or Joshua Dobbs?
Oh my God.
I think it's like,
real.
Here's the thing. And like, I've not watched like every snap this year. Like I'm sure Bobby has a couple of times, but there's been drives. There's been times when Fields has looked like that guy in weeks 1 through 3, but it just seems like they got behind the 8 ball, or the play calling wasn't great, and they weren't giving him opportunities to do what he does best. And then now, obviously, it's the Broncos. They're not very good. They're going to make Zach Wilson look good this weekend. Like, I just think that it's starting to come together.
Now, one thing I think we can all agree on is that Bears defense is absolutely horrific.
Yes.
Even you, Bobbywow, could agree.
They're bad.
That this is an all-time worst they're in competition with the Broncos right now for some of the worst defense we've ever seen. Right? They're really bad.
And 2 playmakers have already been ruled out. You know, Eddie Jackson and Jalen Johnson, both guys in the secondary. Probably 2 of the better playmakers they're out for tomorrow. So it's a big deal too.
There should be some offense in this game. I'm going to bring up the old power rankings here real quick, and I want to just pull up this game and get an idea of what to expect. And it's not super telling because the breakout for these teams was very recent. Oh wait, I gotta do the screen share for that to work. Here we go. So if we take a look at the power ranking sheet available on Sharp app for this game, you know what? Neither one of these teams project to do a whole lot, but I think the problem with this ranking sheet is that the Bears have been so poor offensively that even throwing for 190 yards is kind of like up-paced for them. Washington also kind of mediocre, so they're projecting 112 rushing yards, 235 passing yards. So not a ton of offense being projected here in the power ranking sheet for whatever that's worth, guys.
Yeah, I mean, I don't know. It's tricky. It just comes down to, do you think that what we saw last week is what we're going to see going forward? And do you think that the Washington defense is going to play as good as they did against Philly in a rivalry game against the Bears on Thursday night? Like, that's sort of what you got to balance out here.
And the same questions can be asked about Sam Howell too, right? Like, what are we going to get out of Sam Howell? This is only his 6th game as an NFL starter. So, Fields and Howell, both a lot of uncertainties, but I agree with you, Geek. I think this is going to end up being higher scoring than most people think.
Yeah, I just think there's a lot of offense to be had here. We're going to get into all the players from both of these teams. A lot of offense to be had. One other news nugget is just that it looks like Chase Claypool is getting ready to be cut. They don't want to stand for his shenanigans.
Yeah, what's going on there? What's he doing?
I think
he's a drama queen.
When this stuff happens, I just think the guy's an asshole.
Right?
Yeah, I just think sometimes players are an asshole and they don't like him.
And the problem, I mean, this came up when the Bears traded for him. If you can't play for Mike Tomlin, if you can't fit in with Mike Tomlin, there's something wrong. There's something that's not right with that situation. So, yeah, this has been a lingering thing, I think, and he's done. He's already out for tomorrow. He's going to be gone. Yeah,
he won't be on the team. But I do want to clarify. It's always speculation about the person being an asshole. You never find out, like, oh, yeah, he was just an asshole. But I do think it's a real thing. I do think it's like a real thing that sometimes somebody's just an asshole and no one likes him. I think that might be Kadarius Toney also.
In the effort too, sure. He didn't play. There was a couple times in week 1 and week 2 where he just gave up. So yeah, it's not
sometimes
good for
people are an asshole. What are you going to do? I was like, that's a real thing. All right, so let's talk about these two teams. We'll start with the Bears. I'll bring up the DraftKings screen for this one. We'll start with the Bears, and you've got DJ Moore as the prime wide receiver, priced up at $10K. All right. Last week it was Khalil Herbert who had the big smash game, 18 carries, 4 targets. Let's compare that to Roshan Bo Johnson, who barely got any touches, five carries. So Khalil Herbert was the clear-cut number 1 back last week. Do we expect that to continue here? I mean, that's pretty clear from last week.
Yeah, we expect that to. Hopefully you were watching Tournament Tactics on Friday last week when we called out Khalil Herbert as the best punt option. That dude shined. He's clearly the RB1. The Bears aren't ready to move away from him yet. Roshan will be the guy, just not yet. So, yeah, Herbert, RB1.
Do we think game script played any role in that last week?
No.
Game script. In terms of a close competitive game,
yeah.
Yes.
Maybe that.
Roshan will see blowout work, but I just don't see that happening here.
That's a good point, Josh. Maybe if the Bears are getting blown out, maybe lean. So if you build a like Bears getting blown out version, maybe get cute with Roshan. I don't know. Maybe that there might be something to that.
I don't hate the price. I think he's got sneaky passing game upside. But yeah, I would imagine. Well, what does Vegas say?
He's really expensive on DraftKings. He is.
Hang on. Let's get the props.
Very priced up.
Rushing yards.
20 and a half to 46 and a half.
So Vegas rushing yard prop here. Yeah, Khalil Herbert's getting 46, and we're actually projecting that a little bit higher at 53. And looks like we're blocking it. Hold on. So for the people blocking it, sorry about that. But Roshan here is projecting for 25. So I think this is pretty clear. Let me get the receiving yards.
That's where he would do his damage. He'd be more of a receiving guy, pass catcher.
Khalil over 11 and a half.
Do we have one on Roshan?
It's not us. There may not be a prop for him. So
that's what I'm saying. I don't see one on him.
I don't see it on him. So, but Khalil's getting a little prop there. So, there we go with that, right? Continuing on through this. Hang on, let me bring that back in through the Chicago offense. And Bobbywow, this is your baby. So Cole Kmet, it's been fantastic. 9 targets last week. Was the nuts play in the Millie Maker, along with Khalil Herbert, who I had in my 5th place, almost won, if only lineup. Cole Kmet did it last week. I always like Cole Kmet with Fields. I think they're a really correlated pairing, extremely correlated. After Moore, we've got Darnell Mooney, who gets work. He's priced at $5K, and I think that's an appropriate showdown price for him, guys. I mean, what do you think?
He's a great pivot. He's a guy that you pivot off of DJ Moore, and he was hurt weeks 2 and 3 a little bit. But yeah, he's a guy that can get it done. He looked really good last season.
Yeah. I like deep ball guy.
I like Mooney. And you got to realize, like, obviously we saw Fields throw 3 tutties last week. I don't know if that's going to be what we're going to see going forward, right? 4, sorry. I mean, the props are 1, right? So the idea is that Fields is going to get it done with his legs. He's going to run. He's going to maybe throw 1, maybe 2 touchdown passes. So, like, I really think any of these receivers are live because that's all it's going to take, right? Whoever catches the touchdown pass is going to be in the nuts. DJ Moore might get 110 and not get there.
The more important component for me about Chicago is this is not a turds team. There's no WR4 that's coming out of the blue to do much. Velus Jr. Nah. You know, I'm not worried about Velus Jones beating me on this one, right? Similarly, I'm not super worried about Equinomius. You know, if Amon-Ra is the sun god, Equinemius is like the god of, like, Tuesday afternoons.
You should be a little worried about ESP.
Really?
I don't have a turd hat, but I would make a turd hat bet that one of these 4, 5, 6, 7 wide receivers or TE2 for the Bears ends up in the nuts this week.
I will accept your turd bet, sir.
I agree. No, I'm with Josh. 100%. I think we see a turd in the winning
Josh,
lineup.
Bobbywow does have a turd hat, so
Bobbywow
your bet. I say that no one beyond Darnell on the there is no TE2, no Equinomius, none of it.
Tyler Scott, Robert Tunyon. Oh,
nope.
Man,
there will be. There will absolutely be a turd.
Wow, I don't like going against Bobbywow at all with what I'm saying right now, but I don't care. I say no, sir. None of those people will be in the nuts this week. By the way, if you want to see the Geek in a turd hat, smash that like button and make sure you're subscribed to the channel and let us know what turd defense sub kicker priced turd is going to end up in the nuts. That's going to force me to wear a turd hat.
Antonio Gibson?
No, wait a minute. We're talking on the Bears here. All right.
Okay.
Don't start expanding the bet. That's not how it works. All right. That's not how any of this works. Wait a minute. That's not how any of this works. You don't get to expand to the commander turds. I haven't looked at that team yet.
I don't get Diami Brown.
No, Diami could get there. Diami can get there. We're talking like
here we go.
We're talking Bears turds here. Let's be very clear.
All right.
I don't think it's a team that throws to the turd. I don't think they're a team that cares about the WR3, the TE2, or any of it. It's basically Fields, running backs, and it's a miracle if he throws it to Darnell, the WR2. This guy, they're not getting that deep through the pecking order of the root tree, so to speak. Like, Fields is looking at the first guy or he's running. All right. That does it for me for the Bears. Let's talk Commanders for a second. And this seems like the game of games for Brian Washington Jr. Like, can you have a lineup without this guy? The Bears have had a tough time stopping everything, but the run, this team wants to run the football, so it just makes sense that they're going to run it down their throats, no?
Yeah, I don't see why not. I mean, the Broncos rookie running back looked great against the Bears last week. I don't see why Washington would change that up.
I didn't realize Mercedes Lewis was on the Bears, by the way. I want to take my bet back.
He's going to play better.
I want to take it back now. Mercedes is on the Bears? Oh, my gosh.
He's going to play longer than Tom Brady.
Yeah, so love Robinson. It's interesting that Terry McLaurin, but Sammy Howell, this kid has not been that terrible either.
No, he's
right?
Good.
He did a little running last week, 6 for 40. The Commanders are favored at home here.
13.5 prop. That's not nothing.
Listen, I hate to say it, but we already know. If you're a quarterback and you're at home and you're playing like a really bad defense, you're probably going to put up some fantasy production. For the purpose of Bobbywow, I'm going to say, doesn't mean that the Bears won't win the game. I don't want to get upset. But it does mean that the other offense is probably going to produce some fantasy goodness in this matchup.
Sure.
I think that's a fair assessment.
Yeah.
So let's look through this Washington offense a little bit. So Terry McLaurin, the primary wide receiver, although this price point for T-Mac seems a little bit outrageous.
He's pricey.
It's a little pricey.
Let me throw everybody on the screen here. Fields, McLaurin, Moore, Howell, Robinson, all the quote-unquote, and Khalil Herbert, the expensive crew. The first one I'm not playing is probably Terry McLaurin out of this whole group. Like, if I got to leave one out, it's T-Mac. Not because he's not good. I just think, is he going to outscore Justin Fields?
It's tough. It's well documented that he has not been a ceiling guy throughout his career. I mean, he's got one game since 2020 where he scored more than one touchdown. Hasn't had more than 5 touchdowns in a season over the last 4 years. And he is pricey. The only thing holding me back, Geek, is that he is the type of guy that can exploit this Bears defense. Really, all 3 of these wide receivers for Washington are big matchup problems for the Bears. So that is the only thing kind of keeping me on the fence with Terry here.
I think you play him in the Bears get like walloped lineups. And sure. Just he's in the mix, but he's just going to be a lower priority. I'm not saying I won't play Terry McLaurin. What I'm saying is he would be a lower priority for me than all of these other names, all the way down to Herbert. Like, I'd rather play Herbert. I'd rather play Brian Robinson, that's for sure. Both quarterbacks and DJ Moore. All of those, to me, stand out as somebody I'd rather play
sure
a little bit more than Terry McLaurin. I've had Terry McLaurin in one of my dynasty leagues from the rookie season. And quite honestly, I've been waiting for the breakout for 5 years now. And this is the best quarterback he's actually ever had. As crazy as this sounds, this is the best quarterback that they've actually had outside of like a couple of snaps with Ryan Fitzpatrick. I think he was there for like a minute and got hurt or something happened there. But moving down the list here, I think, Jahan Dotson not having a great year.
No,
but it's like around the corner. Bobbywow, if he's ever going to do it.
I think it's, again, a great spot for all these wide receivers. Dotson, I like a lot. Even you got to pay attention to Samuel too, as much as it kills me.
He had the big week last week. They actually threw deep to Curtis Samuel a couple times, and it was he got. Let's see what the long reception was. He got a 15-yarder.
And he's the gadget guy too, right? He scored a rushing touchdown last week. They've got a couple plays designed for him. So definitely someone that you'll want to have in your player pool.
Logan Thomas, always hurt, but looks like he's going to play here. In-game injury waiting to happen. I think a big wild card on this slate might be De'Ami Brown. He does get a target here and there. Like, I don't know, put him in the turd zone at 2,800. That's a WR4.
Definitely not a turd. He's getting snaps. He's seeing targets, and we've seen him bust a big playoff on a showdown slate before. I think last year we saw it. So definitely in play. Yeah,
I think so too. And I'm trying to see if there's anybody else.
Oh, Gibson's the interesting story here for me. 3,200. The production hasn't been there. Brian Robinson has been the guy, but Gibson is on the field 40 to 50% of the time. If he can haul in a couple extra passes, 3,200 is too cheap. Don't you think?
Absolutely. I think he belongs in your mix, but am I putting him in? Let me get a look at ownership here real quick. Gibson, yeah. He's projecting right now somewhere in the range of 23 to 25%. I probably want to be lower than that. Although, you know what? At this price,
that's not bad.
Yeah, I actually I do kind of get it. Because it's 3,200, so he just has to beat the kicker to be in the game. a kicker is going to get you about 9. He hasn't done it this year yet, Bobbywow.
He has. I mean, look, it's not a slam dunk by any means. It's not an exciting play, but it's just worth noting that it wouldn't take much. 3,200.
Yeah. Yeah, noteworthy. I'm not sure I want to be 25% exposed to him. I really need to think on. I need to think on that. I'm not sure I'm comfortable at that level of exposure. Let's see if we can find a Gibson. I don't even think Gibson has like a rushing prop.
Yes, he does.
Definitely has a receiving prop.
2.5. The line's at 2.5, or he's probably at 2 catching or receiving, or 2 receptions. Sorry, 14.5 receiving yards and 19.5 rushing yards.
Yeah, 19.5 rushing yards, and actually the model here likes the under.
Sure.
And then receptions. Gibson over 2.5, but the model does like the under as well. Yeah, the model likes, so it's actually under. It's minus 250 to under 2.5. So you're looking at 2 receptions, 20 yards. That's a 40. Let's give it 10 yards per reception plus the 20. You're talking 40 and 4, 5, 6. So that could be a 6-pointer.
Yep.
Yeah, that could be a 6-pointer right there. So probably not enough to get it done. But if he spikes, yeah, so 20% is probably about right, actually. He's got about a 20% shot at spiking. All right, let's take a look at the cheat sheet for this particular slate and see if we can figure this out. So let's talk captain position, Bobbywow, and take me through the captains that you've got picked out for this one, best to worst. And I'm surprised to only see 2 stars on Brian Robinson. I thought he would be up there with the best of them.
Yeah, I mean, I think Fields is, far and away the best option of anyone on the slate. So to me, he's like the clear top dog. I think that's where most of my captain and MVP exposure will be. And then, the rest of these guys, you need to spread it out. In my opinion, I hate to say it. You always harp on me for having a lot of captains, but
I like that there's not a lot of. Wait a minute. There were way more. Wait a minute. Oh no, it keeps going. All right, so let's go. I'm just messing, but yes.
The problem is touchdowns and production is not that limited for both these teams. Like, you see guys like Curtis Samuel having the top score for Washington last week. Darnell Mooney's a guy that's going to get worked in. Both Robinson and Khalil Herbert. Like, there are a bunch of guys that could score touchdowns. And in a game that's not projected to be that high scoring, you got to account for all those guys. So to me, it's Fields and everybody else.
I feel like it will be high scoring. I'm going that way with it. But yeah, Fields makes a lot of sense. Listen, if Fields is doing his thing, he has the highest upside of them all. He also can clearly fail because he's failed 3 of the 4 weeks so far this season. But when he does hit, it's usually really good. It's usually 30 plus. And that probably on in a game like this is enough. So I get that. Terry, he'd have to squeak his way in by the skin of his teeth. I don't feel super great about him. DJ Moore going to be the prime guy. Do the Commanders have a cornerback that has a brand name, sort of like can be put on Terry McLaurin and shut him down kind of guy? I don't recall them having a name brand quarterback on that team.
Kendall,
you talking about the Brown?
The Commanders. Right, there's nothing special. I mean, I'll pull up the cornerback matchup chart, but I don't think there's anything particularly special going on there. Let's compare Terry McLaurin to DJ Moore real quick. I'm curious now. Receiving yards here.
There you go, right there.
So Terry McLaurin 59.5. And I don't see one for DJ Moore here. Do you guys see a DJ Moore prop for receiving yards?
49.5.
49.5. So
Yep.
49.5 versus 59.5. technically, Terry McLaurin projecting better than DJ Moore. Interesting.
I mean, the Commanders do have more guys to throw to, though. Or, I mean, you know what I mean? Whereas DJ Moore is going to be Justin Fields' first look every single time.
Yeah, and it's clear last week the Bears decided we are going to get the ball to DJ Moore, no matter what it takes. Priority number one in the passing game is getting DJ Moore the football. So I don't see any reason that would change tonight or tomorrow.
I think overs on DJ Moore is actually quite a good way to bet. I gotta give credit to Tarnutzer for Shade God as the.
I like that.
Yeah, I like that one too.
I mean, DJ Moore the over is at 3.5 for receptions. Like, he's gonna get 4 receptions.
You got to slam that over.
Yes, smash the over.
Right?
Slam that over right now, guys. He's getting more
minus 135, but still.
Yeah, hit that now before it changes. Listen, we're diving into scary territory. I think Howell is very playable here. Although Bobbywow, you're not like in love with it. So talk me through the rest of these spots.
Yeah, I think we talked about Robinson and Herbert. Robinson's a guy he's the RB1. He's getting all the usage. He scores touchdowns, firmly in play against a really bad Bears defense. Herbert, a couple interesting things about Herbert. Number one, he caught a touchdown pass last week, which is interesting. He actually has run far and away the most routes of any Bears backfield member. And Justin Fields checks down more than any other quarterback in the league. So Khalil Herbert has surprisingly been the guy in the passing game too. I think the upside's there for him across the board. And we saw it last week. So he's certainly viable. It's, one of these top 4 or 5 captain options to me.
Yeah, I think it's a low. I mean, here's the hard part with this game, right? Like, we know that Justin Fields is going to be 35% in the captain, maybe more, right?
Yeah.
So if you got to take a stand somewhere, like there's not a lot of lineups left after you try to get a little bit above the field on Justin Fields.
Right now, Fields is projecting much lower in the captain than what you'd think. Under 20% at the moment.
Really?
Well, under 20%. And effectively the same as Howell.
That's
and
crazy.
Robinson.
Jeez,
yeah,
Louise.
I think those numbers will adjust as we get a little bit closer.
Like, Fields was bad the first 3 weeks of the season, but still put up like halfway decent fan. Like,
no, it was really bad.
If your wide receiver, if you paid $10,000 for Terry McLaurin and he scored 16.5 points, you'd be like, it's not the worst thing in the world.
Yeah, there it is. He's putting up like numbers that are still probably better than an okay game from a wide receiver. Here's the numbers.
Justin Fields at his price at the captain spot, if he puts up 16.5 points, you can still cash.
Yeah.
You're down by 20 points in a fantasy matchup. Who are you playing? You got one player to play. Of all these guys, who are you playing? I get that salaries
all day.
Yeah.
That was a great,
not even close
way of putting it.
That really was.
You're always going to play Fields over the rest of them. So yeah, that was a great way of putting it, Bobbywow.
I like that.
Couldn't agree more. I love the traditional fantasy football reference because that really does bring your head to it. Like, you're not starting Howell over Fields this week.
No.
In your fantasy football team.
You'd be crazy to.
You're not even thinking about it. You're like, what are you, stupid? Like, you're
right.
But here we are, like, should I start Howell? So, that doesn't make sense. I think I think you have to build for 2 things. You build the one where Bears have competent offense, which is what we probably expect to happen. The Bears. Did I say Bills? Bears have competent offense. And then I think you do have a build for Danny Dimes part 2 happening where you're like, you have to have it. You build it. Listen, I'm building one for. You could build one for a fucking injury to Sam Howell, where you put the backup in. Like, there are, we could play scenarios. So if we're going to discuss scenarios, there is a version of this game.
Oh yeah,
where the Commanders absolutely dominate this game defensively. We throw Washington defense up in the captain. Like last night where Seattle. I didn't even think of it. I did not put Seattle on Monday in my captain. I was like, that's not, the Giants are at home.
Danny Dimes is better than we think.
Danny Dimes broke out the week before. It can't revert. And it was horrible. So I don't know. Right? Like you never know what's going to happen. So in the version of the lineup where I put Commanders defense and I got Brian Robinson in there, there is that scenario. But I think if we're playing the scenario out where usual, like a competent version of themselves, yeah, I think Fields far and away is the top scorer on the slate. He should be.
Can you play Fields captain Commanders flex?
Yes, absolutely.
Yeah. I mean, he's got 7 turnovers on the year.
Yeah, you could put that defense up against Fields as well. We look at what happened. Listen, there was a similar game with the Colts this weekend where Richardson plays terrible. Turnovers, just ugly through 3 quarters of play. Interception, all kinds of gross. And all it took was one good fourth quarter. And you look up and you're like, oh, wow, he got 100. He got a 30. Like, thank goodness for that. But I was sweating bullets watching that game. So these type of quarterbacks, they can put up numbers quick. And Fields is that style of quarterback. Like, that's why I loved Fields. That's why I took Fields aggressively in my fantasy football season-long drafts. I need him to start producing for me, Bobbywow, because I'm like 1-3 in some leagues. I'm blaming Fields. I need my quarterback. Do some damage for me.
Yep.
The rest of these potential captains are all pretty thin. I would say, yeah, Cole Kmet, Jahan, sure. I think Samuel's even thinner. Mooney and Gibson is only getting there for me if Brian Robinson gets hurt like early in this game, or he pulls a Samaj AP Ryan and gets like one of the 3 screen passes, takes it to the house, and like that was the only scoring that happened that week. Like I've seen, there was a game once where Samaje was just backing up Mixon and he busts out with 2 touchdowns off of like 4 of his screens. And I'm like, who knew that is even a possibility? But I remember every turd that ever burned me on a showdown. Every time. Keep those memories in. Bobbywow, are there any cheapies on the Commanders that we need to think about outside of, let's say, deep turd De'Ami Brown?
I think both kickers are in play. I like Cairo Santos better than Joey Slye, but I mean, both guys are in play in what could be kind of a messy game where offenses can't put the ball into the end zone. And then, we talked about De'Ami Brown. I think one guy that you have to pay a little bit of attention to in deeper tournaments is John Bates. Hate to say it, but we have seen time and time again Logan Thomas go out with injury, and even without injuries, Bates has been playing snaps and getting targets. So just a punt option, but probably the other guy down here on Washington that I've got a little bit of interest in.
He's your Daniel Bellinger.
Yeah, remember Bellinger, by the way, had a nice game the other night. Didn't make the nuts, but
he got like right away. He caught a pass, and I'm like, oh
yeah, I was like, there's that $200 player that did it. By the way, my sneaky play for this week's main slate. Min salary, Wan'Dale Robinson. Go right back to it.
Good.
I didn't get to share mine last week because I said if we got over 3,000 views on my 10 under 10, I had a sneaky touchdown option, and he scored. Hunter Lipke, fullback for the Dallas Cowboys. He will be a thing this year. He is going to score on the goal line.
I'm so not looking forward to Dallas showdowns because if I have to account for Hunter Lipke now, it's another Kyle Juszczyk to put in the where my turds at spinner.
Like, he is good and he can catch passes.
Let's build a DraftKings lineup, guys.
Yeah.
All right, you ready?
Yes,
Let's
sir.
put this bad boy on screen. Remember, guys, you want to get a nice lineup build, hit that like button. Make sure you subscribe to this channel. Subscribe it up. And yes, it is, but Wan'Dale gets more work each week. He's the best wide receiver on the Giants, and he's 3K stone min in a week when you absolutely need a cheapie, and there's very little value to be found. So, I don't even care if he only gets you 9, 10, 11 for 3K. Wan'Dale is somebody I'm going to be using in live. I've already made a lot of lineups with freaking Wan'Dale in them. It's crazy. I know. All right. Let's make a lineup.
Let's do it.
Bobbywow, I assume we're starting with Jay Fiddles.
Yes, start with Fields. Give me Cole Kmet in the flex.
Ooh, okay.
I like it.
Start.
I like it.
Are we going balanced? It's a balanced lineup. Is that what we're working at?
Yeah,
here?
this is a tournament lineup, but we'll keep it balanced. Something that you wouldn't be upset to enter in like a 25-person tournament. I don't need to get crazy, silly for the millie. I don't like to do that. For the purpose of this, I want to put in the best plays on this slate. We'll call it like cash. I think Brian Robinson must be in your lineup, and so does Khalil Herbert. To me, both running backs got to be in play in this game. 46.50 left, so we don't have much.
I'm probably going Joey Sly and Darnell Mooney, maybe.
You could fit Sly and Mooney. So that would be, that would probably be sort of the best bet. Is there a version of this lineup where we can afford one of the good wide receivers, like a DJ Moore or a Sam Howell even? Let me try something crazy.
We're deviating from the balanced path here, but absolutely. I mean, there's
a version where I just want to see if Kmet was the captain in more of like a GPP only kind of approach here. Let's see. Let's go back to Sly. Sly's expensive. Oh, the kickers. They really did price him. And you're not getting an elite wide receiver that way. So
just to say it out loud too, it worked out last week, and I wouldn't rule yourself out of it. But like having Fields at captain and Herbert in the flex is not the most exciting thing to me. I'll probably try to minimize that.
I think I'd rather play Howell there, right? Like,
or DJ Moore,
or more, yeah,
or Howell. Well, we got Kmet in here. Hold on, 3,700. Yeah, a version with DJ Moore does not fit the second kicker. At this point, you're now forced to use like a Gibson, a Diami, or a very thin play down here. I think Gibson too thin?
Not at that price. I don't think so.
He's not safe. He's not safe, but he's in play. Like, look, in showdown tournaments, we look for guys who can be in the right place at the right time. You can't be in the right place at the right time if you don't play snaps, but Gibson is on the field almost half the time. So to me, plenty of opportunities at that price.
Right. Like, and you, with that lineup, like you have access to all the touchdowns through Sam Howell and then all the running back touchdowns for the Commanders against one of the worst run defenses in the NFL.
Yeah. I think this is a pretty solid approach.
I don't mind that.
Yeah, and it's easily changed up with Moore or McLaurin in this second first spot right here. So you could choose from Herbert, Howell, McLaurin, DJ Moore, and depending on who you choose, if we go with like a cheaper version of one of these guys, then you could get that second kicker in there or a Darnell or something like that. So I think this is a pretty flexible core sort of. I would call the core probably something like this. Fields, Kmet, Brian Robinson, and then you kind of like get silly for it, like make some variations of this. But this is a pretty, and Gamble's saying, you're also covered for an injury to Robinson if you have Robinson and Gibson in the same lineup. Mr. 5 Cent, Washington, not a very easy team to run against, which maybe. You're right. There it is. So maybe instead of that Khalil Herbert component, you actually go with a Howell or a DJ Moore instead.
Sure.
And I want to get your tournament thoughts on something. Tournaments here. I think I'm looking to minimize lineups where Justin Fields and Herbert are paired, and also Sam Howell and Brian Robinson. I think that helps free up some salary a little bit, and correlation isn't great. What are your thoughts?
Yeah, Brian, I like that. I'm just building.
I wouldn't make it so if I'm handcrafting, I think that's a great thing to have in your mind as you're handcrafting the lineups. I don't necessarily want to make a rule against it if I'm making 150 because those rules will rule you out of wins. But like I definitely would be doing that if I'm handcrafting a lineup, like especially if Robinson is the captain. So like if this looked like this and it's like, oh, I'm putting Brian Robinson as the captain, maybe not Sam Howell in that one. And then I have another thought. Any of these wide receivers are captain, I think their quarterback, especially like DJ Moore. If DJ Moore is the captain, that means Fields is having a field day. He's having a Fields day. Bobbywow, you heard what I said, right?
I like it.
I want to make sure I said a Fields. I pluralized
Fields day.
That's beautiful.
That's how I brought it together. That's how I tie it all in. They taught me that at Connecticut School of Broadcasting. Tie it in. So yeah, he's having a field day. So if Fields, if it's DJ Moore, I'm making a rule that I want Fields in there. And if it's any of these other captains that are also past captains, like if it's Cole Kmet, I'm ruling in Fields in my flex at the very least, and that kind of thing. So what about the Commander side? Let's think of rules. So you said if Brian Robinson is your captain, then probably not a lineup to get crazy with Sam Howell.
And probably vice versa too. Sam Howell's my captain. I'm probably, I don't know that I would rule out of it, but I don't want lineups with Howell at captain and Robinson in the flex, unless I'm trying to go cashy.
I think I don't want lineups with Howell at captain, and then I want to end my sentence there. I don't think I want lineups with Howell at captain.
Rushing upside.
I know. I don't think I want. I just don't think I want to do it. I feel like you can't do everything. We've got to be able to sometimes go in and say, you know what, I'm not going to do that. And if it burns me, usually it burns 100%. Me. You know, like it usually burns me.
That's the only way you can play Showdown, right? Like you can't account for all these things.
No, I don't want to account for it. I think if Sam Howell's the captain, if hating Howell at captain is wrong, I don't want to be right.
Got to be able to sleep at night, right?
It's not financial advice, but to me, this is a smash Fields at captain in tournaments. He's almost an all-in play for me. I'm a Bears fan, not financial advice, because there's so many ways to get different in the flex. And we haven't talked about it. I know Geek is not on the idea of turds, but there are several viable turdly options that really, really help you get unique with Fields at captain.
Give me the turd options that help us get unique with Fields at captain, because he will be a popular captain, depending on what that ownership looks like. But I am not, he will be popular. So who are the turds that, John Bates? Is it the Shade God? Who are these turds?
Shade God is the best turd to me. I don't even know.
By the way, he will now and forever always be Shade God. Thank you. Let me credit that again to Tarnutzer. Thank you, Tarnutzer.
It was last year's showdown in this same exact matchup where Dante Pettis scored like a 70-yard touchdown. One pass, one target. Pettis is the WR4, scores a touchdown. So absolutely, Equinemius, Shade God, he's going to be on the field for 60+% of the snaps with no Claypool. Tyler Scott is the other guy, definitely a deeper punt.
Yeah.
He's going to see some run without Claypool as well. The Bears are going to mix him in. He's going to get a rushing touch or two. He's going to get a target or two. He's another guy that can make a big play at min price. Those two guys, and one other to throw in. I'm going crazy here, but Robert Tonyan saw a couple of targets. Saw at least one target in the red zone last week. And it's another guy that in MME you'll want to have in the player pool as well.
You're right. This guy got targeted twice last week. $600 player.
Like he's not just some random. Like he's done it in the NFL before.
He is a touchdown catcher. All right,
FD, let's go.
FanDuel. It's a miracle that I can now open FanDuel on my computer.
It's unbelievable.
Do you know that I reserved 170 lineups on Sunday? And I go to incognito. I'm just trying to log on. Are you human? And I'm like, bro, is this real? I had shut my computer down, turned it back on, found the internet, like random Internet Explorer one, like one of those random non-Chrome browsers, logged in with seconds to spare. It was like 59. With seconds to spare, I got this edit in. Shitting myself. Then I was already going through scenarios in my head of how I was going to be screaming, but I don't even have a rep for FanDuel. Like the dude who used to call me, doesn't work there anymore. I got nothing. I was like, who am I going to yell at? No one. Thank goodness I got the lineups in, even though I didn't take that tournament down.
I wish I could be in your head, like that last 30-second struggle where you're just like desperately trying to get them in before lock.
Also, try when you open files on Chrome, it like opens certain things. When you're on like Internet Explorer, it doesn't open the right page. I'm like, what is this?
Internet Explorer,
Cloud Drive? Where are my files?
Kevin's on Netscape.
It was not even looking at the right stuff. Like it was. I was in a full sweat. You have no idea. Like the stuff that goes on behind the scenes, guys.
Could you imagine doing this back in the day on like dial-up?
No.
Oh my God. Getting your rep on AOL Instant Messenger.
The whole reason we built DFS Army was because that dude, Sal Hill Sud, was like ripping everybody by just having these scripts that could change lineups quickly. So I was like, we need to build tools that's where the optimizer came from. I was like, we need to build tools for everybody, but I can't afford to hire a dude just to make a script for me. And I don't know how to software engineer. So I was like, we need people pitching in to build an optimizer. Yeah. All right. Let's talk FanDuel real quick. Bobbywow, take us through the captain position. Why are there so many? I thought it was just going to be Fields and literally nothing else. I was sure that I was going to open this up and it was going to be Fields, core, 5 stars, and nobody. That would have been awesome, Bobbywow.
If it was just me in my head, that's how I see it. But there's 4 viable options here. And
here's my reaction. Here's my reaction when I open it up and it's only Fields, core, 5 stars, and no other names.
Wow. I thought you were going to be excited. Like we went from a 50 captains on DraftKings to 4 here on Fan. I'm like,
I agree with all 4 of these. I agree with all 4 of these, except for Sam Howell. No, I'm just messing.
No, Sam
I think there's nothing different here. FanDuel format favors quarterbacks and running backs, unless it was the Giants game where you needed Seattle defense to win the Monies. But generally,
I'm not on board. But
what's
Jesus, that? I'm not on board with it per se. But Jesus is projecting Howell as the top scorer on the slate.
Ooh.
Yeah. That's that Bears defense creeping up.
Yes,
not looking so good. And you got to play these guys. Like I said, we have to acknowledge that the Bears defense is not one that is good. So teams against them, I'll show you this right here. The Bears defense. Let me show you the numbers, Bobby. Wow, this is not going to be fun.
Please. I mean, I know the numbers, but yeah, please enlighten us.
Bears defense, an average team can expect to pass for 40 more yards than usual when facing the Bears. So if Washington is generally throwing for about 230 yards, you want to add 40 yards to that projection for this game. Similarly, less dramatically though, but kind of the same. Teams, because it's rare that you see both of these in such red. Teams are running for 17 more yards per game than average against the Bears. Now, that might not sound like a big number, but if you think about a sports betting projection for rushing yardage for a team, a running back might get like a 70 yard or even an 80. You never see 100. So you want to tack on an extra 20. You want to tack on an extra almost 40 yards to the pass catching crew. Their numbers are bad. Is it the worst? No. Look, Denver, significantly worse. That's about it for teams that are worse, but they're not the worst, Bobby. Wow. Denver's worse than them. But teams do throw for more yardage than usual against the Bears. So that brings, of course, Sam Howell into relevance. Brian Robinson, a touchdown guy. We saw David Montgomery, the same kind of running back as what Brian Robinson is, absolutely destroy a showdown this past week as well.
Yep. Much cheaper Montgomery was, but same deal.
True.
And let's not pretend that Washington defense is good either. Like, I think there's a perception that Washington has a stout defense or a legitimate defense. I don't think that's true. I mean, they've given up. I know the numbers don't reflect it quite as well on there, but they've given up 30+ points 3 weeks in a row. Like
they're not that good. They played good teams though. Let's not knock them. So that's why this sheet is so important, because this will level out those numbers. And this is agnostic to the opponent, right? If you look at the expectation, Washington is basically a middle of the road average defense, which is nothing we want to fear in any stretch. So they're allowing, according to the, I don't know, can you guys see this? Is this too small for the screen? I'll just read it out.
I can see it.
Washington 2 yards above expectation to opposing wide receivers, 13 yards below expectation to opposing running backs. So somebody in the chat, I think it was Mr. 5 Cents, was saying before that Washington pretty good against running back. And yes, this shows that they're a little better. They're like above average slightly versus the run and league average versus the pass. Nothing to fear. But if we needed a reason why not to maybe load up on Khalil Herbert over like a Sam Howell in especially a baseline lineup, like if that other lineup that we built for DraftKings, the more I think about it, that should be Sam Howell in that final spot. Safe. Yes. He's locked into 12, 14 fantasy points. Like he'll probably do better than that, but worst case, he's getting you 12 to 14. And that's probably better than like McLaurin. If he got you 14, you're kind of like, oh, that was a good game.
Right.
Yeah. Everyone's out. Kyler Gordon's out. Eddie Jackson's out. And Jalen Johnson is out. And if Brisker, who's questionable now, is out, the Bears might give up 1,000 points. Brisker is the lone playmaker left.
Oh, no. All right. So, Bears defense is beaten up as well. That doesn't help them. Let's kind of run through the rest of this FanDuel sheet, and we'll make a FanDuel lineup. But, in the flex zone here, McLaurin 12K, Khalil Herbert 11. I like that. Cole Kmet at 10. I think I agree with your star ratings here. I'd probably 4, 3.5, 4. I'd probably put Khalil above Terry McLaurin personally, but it's not a big deal. Like that's not a big difference.
A lot of recency bias with Herbert too. I'll say that.
It is a lot of that. You're right. All of a sudden it'll be Roshan this week, and we're all like,
It's just he's RB2, Roshan's RB3. So Fields, he did it through the year last week, but I don't know. We'll see.
Good call. That you're right. You're right there as well. Jahan Dotson at 9K, touchdown guy. That's fine. But a long shot, GPP, good call. Darnell 8,500. So when we're going to the cheap zone here, you're just you're just hoping for a touchdown out of one of these guys.
Right.
These are all the names that you mentioned, Shade God and Tunyon. Any one of these, Logan Thomas at 7K, I think is like pretty decent. Is this the best pay down, you think? Or Gibson maybe, hoping for that miraculous increase in usage?
Probably. Unlike DraftKings, the cheap options are not very good on FanDuel.
Why is Tyler Scott
so time in this zone?
Why is Tyler Scott so expensive on FanDuel?
60. Yeah, this seems like a 5K player, right? Why is it 65? It's all right. Let's put a lineup together on FanDuel here and really let's see how this looks. By the way, again, guys, if you're still hanging with us here, 131 watching live, that's awesome. We appreciate you. Hit that like button. Make sure you subscribe to the channel and all of that good stuff. All right. Of course, I want Fields as my MVP. It's more fun to play with Fields. By the way, just like for the funness of this, it's a lot more fun. He'll be popular, but it's like a lot more fun when Fields is going crazy and you have him and you're loaded up on him. It's just more fun to watch the game.
It is. I would agree.
It is.
I think Howell is really relevant. Robinson, though, is almost a must play for me on FanDuel. See if I can get Howell in there. So you can see here already, you cannot really play Fields, Robinson, and Howell and then field a proper lineup.
I don't think I want to. I
think you can.
I don't like the idea of Robinson and Howell, but maybe in
the
a
next
cash
two
lineup.
it's ESB and Thomas.
Yeah, it's really gross. If you, I mean, there's a version of it that you could put together, but it's gross. Like, this is horrible. This is not a good lineup.
Lord have mercy.
That's
That's
two
gonna
of
win.
two
That's gonna be
zeros
the
in
winner.
the same lineup. That's just bad. So this doesn't really work. So you're right. If I'm playing Robinson, Howell probably less exciting. Okay, fine. So we've got 9,600 left. So we're going to be hanging around this zone here.
Give me DJ Moore and Jahan Dotson and Cole Kmet.
Does that
DJ
work?
Moore.
I don't know.
There's no way that works.
That does
Jahan
not work.
Dotson.
No, you can't
Not
do
even
that.
close.
No, you
Okay,
got to get
so-
rid of DJ Moore.
Or Kmet. Yeah, one of those guys. I like
feel like it's
Dotson as
more-
a cheaper option.
Yeah, and then you could go Dotson. This is your GPP upside guy, and then something like this could be finished out with, a kicker. What's Cairo Santos doing all the way down here? You know what? Let me see.
I like Santos
If you
a
put
lot.
Cairo Santos in there, 10-5. Ugh. I was trying to get to Curtis, to Herbert.
No.
That doesn't do it.
No.
What about
Robinson,
Mooney? What about Mooney instead of Kmet?
8,500. 10-5 again. So your final spot in a lineup like this, Washington Commanders or like a Joey Sly, Jay Slizzles. How about that?
Yeah, I don't hate the kickers here.
Can we call Joey Sly Jay Sleazy? I kind of like
Yeah.
that it's a cool name, Joey Sly. If I wasn't Kevin Allen and I could do it, and I can do it all over again, Joey Sly would have been like, I like it.
You've been in.
Would have been a good gnome D video. And then my Twitter name would be Jay Sleazy. I'm telling you, that would just be it. Can't do it over again though. I like this lineup, guys. I don't dislike this. Darnell. If you didn't want Darnell in there, I put a little Commanders defense in there, little Fields up against the opposing defense action,
Yeah, I like
some
that on
turnovers
FanDuel.
along the way. He always finds a way to fuck it up.
It's true.
He does. How did they lose last week? How?
It's not Justin's fault. Not Justin's fault.
And no, he can't play. But all of last year, it was the same story at the second half of the year.
I know.
And they never had a wide receiver. Now he's got a wide receiver. No excuses. All right, guys, that's going to do it for the Showdown breakdown. Of course, we've got the Dom Station at DFS Army, the optimizer loaded up to take this thing down. Do you guys know that we have not had there have been DFS Army takedowns on pretty much, I think maybe one we didn't have it, but almost every showdown of the season, there've been a ton of them already. And the takedown after takedown after takedown, I truly believe that the Domination Station Optimizer is the best tool in the industry for attacking showdowns. Yep. So whatever else is going on, the tools are there to take these things down, and it is consistent. So make sure that you're taking advantage. If you guys are DFS Army subscribed and you don't want to kind of put in $750 or $1,500 or $2,500, there are nickels, dimes, and quarter games that you can be max entering for these things. I think it's more fun to attack a showdown that way. But again, we also have a lot of people who do really well with high dollar contests with smaller number of entrants. What I don't necessarily recommend is handcrafting 3 or 4 lineups for the Thursday 1.5 millionaire and kind of hoping to make a lot of money doing that.
Unless you're just going to get ridiculous.
Yeah, that is not an easy one. You're generally going to probably lose money when you do that. So, if you're entering this contest and you're not max entering it, but you're just putting 1 or 2,
don't do it.
I want everybody who's watching here to play in a profitable way. And I'm going to show you that if you're going to play profitably, that is not like let's say you've thoughtfully crafted a lineup. I don't show these smaller contests on my screen, but like the smaller dollars, but get into, look for contests that have 50 entrants, 100 entrants, 150. Where are those? Where are these kind of contests? Like something like this, although this is a satellite, but you get the idea. Oh, it's $38, 68 entries. You can craft a lineup for this that isn't like stupid, that is well thought through, and that you can actually win that tournament with it. And it will be 20 points below what wins the other. Like the other day for the Giants game, I came in 7th in like a 60-person contest, and I didn't play Seattle defense, and it didn't matter.
Right.
Yep.
Like I didn't have a 30 burger, and it didn't. I was still in 7th place in that contest because only 1 or 2 people played that defense in the thing. So if you want to make money or have a chance at being profitable doing this, again, I don't recommend qualifiers, but this size contest is where you want to be. The 27 entries, the 50 entries, something like this. Like if you had $5,000, how do you think all these names get into the World Championship? They're using $5,000. They're going up against 20.
$5,000.
Yeah. Listen, I don't.
Look, if you're hand building, you got a couple thoughts on how the game's going to go. You're hand building a couple lineups. 3 max and 5 max are your best friend.
But I want to clarify, like when we say 3 max, people think the 3 max one with 7,000 entries is the same. I'm talking about here's a contest with 33 entries.
That's a
with
great
42. Here's one with 250. I'm not saying these dollar amounts. I'm saying those sizes.
You got to scroll. Screen, you got to scroll.
My screen doesn't show it. They lock me out of half the contest. You don't. I can't see anything under $5 on this screen. But I'd rather they do. I can't play in Minimax. It's fucking pissing me off. I've been writing to their support every day. Like, where's those mega Minimaxes? Luckily for football, it doesn't matter. But for other sports, it's really annoying.
Right. You want to be able to do that.
Yeah, like NFL, they have big contests across the board, but like not on the showdowns. Sometimes they don't.
Yeah, right.
Like sometimes the showdown, it'll be like a 20, or you have to do the $20. And I'm not going to max enter a $20 contest. I just don't want to. So I end up only putting in 20 and handcrafting a few, but that's when I focus on these smaller contests. You make money like that. Anyway, that was a little side note from everything. I want to see people play. I like when people win. And you're not going to win just putting 20 lineups in the $3 40,000 entry contest. You're going to lose money doing that. You might win eventually. Hopefully you will. Somebody will win, and we'll post that screenshot. It's usually DFS Army. So I love that. But more often than not, you're going to be frustrated. It feels like you're losing all the time when you're playing in those, because that's a contest designed to do that to you. So yes, I'm saying, and here to be clear, I'm not recommending you put 150 in. What I'm telling you, James, is that if you're not doing that, then don't expect to make money putting 1 or 2 entries in that thing. They're just lotto tickets. Like the craziness of the lineup that wins will never be like a smart, well-built lineup like what we sat here and thought through when we put one on the screen. That's not what wins. What wins is like some crazy shit. So, and generally when you're only putting 1 or 2, your mind is not allowing you to do that. Like put Seattle, like Commanders defense, like get crazy if you're going to do that is what I'm saying. Like just be silly with your lineup because you're just throwing it away anyway. But if you're playing to turn a profit, you really want to focus on much, much smaller contests where a well thought through lineup can actually take first place. Am I saying this right, guys? Does this make sense?
You are 100%. Nope, 100%.
Okay. I want to make sure that that's super clear. All right, let's wrap it up. Good luck tomorrow, everybody. We will see you in the DFS Army Discord. We'll be talking about this game pretty much for the next 24 hours straight. So we'll see you in the Discord. If you're not signed up at DFS Army, you want to get in, get access to everything. Link is in the description below. Promo code Geek, 10% off, the whole deal. You guys know what to do. Hit that like, subscribe, and we'll see you next time.